Hello everybody, welcome to the Midnight Show. It is May 12th, I need glasses, 2017, and we're going to be talking about a few things today. We're going to slightly discuss FBI. Whoa, there, that is an echo. Okay. Talk about some Comey, talk about some Wikileaks, talk about some other stuff too, and voter fraud, a new executive order that Trump signed today that, well, I don't know the details yet, but we'll go over it a little bit. So, the very first thing I'd like to thank is Frog Music for providing such a kick-ass intro. So, besides that, this was rather amusing. It was going around yesterday or the day before. I can't quite remember. It all kind of congeals together for me.
Minutes ago, FBI Director James Comey has just been fired by Donald Trump. Wow. Huge Donald Trump fans here tonight. That shows no gratitude.
And that's what's been that little clip right there, because essentially everyone was so confused from all the flip-flopping around that they don't even know why they're outraged or what, so they were happy. Like, yeah, fuck this guy. He's an incompetent asshole that probably threw the election, and honestly, in a lot of people's favor. But yeah, Clinton firing the FBI chief on his administration as well, so it's definitely not unprecedented. People are saying that it's the new Watergate. And yes, I decided to reload the page. It probably fucked up chat now that I think about it. On his administration, I should probably actually check to make sure it's not all. That's all right. But yeah, so people are calling it the new Watergate. Watergate was kind of different. The Midnight Massacre was kind of different. Basically, Nixon told his his attorney general fired the special prosecutor that's investigating me. He says no. So he looked at, I forgot who the other person was, and says, well, you fire him. And the guy said no. So he fired all three of them. So it's entirely different, especially because Nixon was under investigation with the special prosecutor, and Comey has apparently told Trump on 3 different occasions that he is not under investigation. So his failure everything's been Watergate. That isn't except anything like, I'm trying to think, like any sort of controversy or scandal has to throw Watergate's name on it in order to try to become, real. Did I say that all wrong? Anyway, but I'll go ahead and play that little clip again because it's rather amusing.
Huge story that broke just minutes ago, like less than 10 minutes ago. FBI Director James Comey has just been fired by Donald Trump. Wow. Huge Donald Trump fans here tonight.
It just had to shame them a little bit. I love it. I love it so much. All right, moving on. Because there's not much to talk about Comey that other people really haven't brought up. There is a really interesting clip that I saw a little bit earlier today that I'm going to bring up before we move on regarding that exact thing. There it is.
Bethesda, Maryland, and that is where Griff is this morning talking with folks about James Comey, who's now looking for work.
We are, guys. We probably should be talking about what these guys are doing for Mother's Day. We're at the Tasty Diner. It's been here for over 80 years, and it is truly the center of community in this area. Pat Flaherty.
Yes.
Pat, first, what do you do?
What do I? Well, I read the newspaper. I sit around a lot. I look at the fireplace, and take a little naps 2 or 3 times.
You believe all the news?
Hell yeah.
Not at all.
Pat is modest. He's telling me here that he's 25 years working at the VA.
Well, close to that, yeah.
Let me ask you, I want to ask you about the fallout from the firing of FBI Director James Comey. But first, for someone, and you've been coming here for 4 generations, your family, and you've worked in the federal government for 25 years. What do you make of what's happening in the country right now in President Trump's leadership?
Well, I think right now there's a side to this thing. I think we can see the population now tuning into the politics on a national score. You know, several months ago, nobody cared. And I think people are starting to care now and realize that we've got some pretty weak promises made by somebody who doesn't understand. Yes, we're not in the golf business and we're not building buildings. He's working for me now. Yeah. Okay? And this is the big difference. And we don't have pots of gold we can do and go through and those kind of things.
So let me ask you, Pat, what do you think the biggest problem is the country's facing right now?
The Trump faces right now?
The whole country.
Well, I don't know. I suppose it's probably confusion because we don't have any leadership. We don't have any programs that you and I can discuss. And we go through the pros and cons and that type of thing.
So bottom line, Pat, what do you make of the firing? Thumbs up or thumbs down on that decision?
Well, I think it should have been done much earlier. I think to be too Machiavellian about it, why does it take such a long time for these guys to arrive at this conclusion? Is it because we're getting too tight, finding out too much information about the Putin? Is that...
Well, thank you. We're getting tight on time. I just wanted to tell you, too, we're going to be talking to folks
we
here.
Gotta go.
Steve Krasner, he's actually staying around. He just finished. Quickly, Steve, can you...
But yeah, that was that. It was on our videos, I think. People were like, yeah, this guy ran away when he said the special P word. Yeah, I have a coworker that watches it and was telling me, like, you like Coast to Coast. I'm like, maybe. Whenever someone tells me to go check something out when I'm at work, it always makes me, like, not want to check it out. But yeah, so at this point, it's pretty much we move on from the Comey BS. And we'll move right into a new statement by Wikileaks. Oh, you fucker. New book by Shattered by Clinton insiders reveals that Blame Russia plan was hatched within 24 hours of election loss. Excuse me. The authors detail how Clinton went out of her way to pass blame for her stunning loss on Comey and Russia. She wants to make sure all of these narratives get spun the right way, a longtime Clinton confidant is quoted as saying. The book further highlights how Clinton's Russia blame game was a plan hatched by senior campaign staffer John Podesta and Robbie Mook within 24 hours after she concluded. That strategy had been set up within 24 hours of her concession speech. Mook and Podesta assembled her communications team at the Brooklyn headquarters to engineer the case that the election wasn't entirely on the up and up. For a couple of hours, with Shake Shack containers littering the room, they went over the script that they would pitch to the press and the public. Already, Russian hacking was the centerpiece of the argument. The Clinton camp settled on a two-pronged plan, pushing the press to cover how Russian hacking was the major unreported story of the campaign, overshadowed by the contents of stolen emails and Hillary's own private server, Imbroglio, while hammering the media for focusing so intently on the investigation into her email, which had created a cloud over her candidacy, the authors wrote. The Russians. But I find it ironic that immediately, like, no one's surprised, I don't think, to hear this. And we don't have, WikiLeaks, unfortunately, we need some more to validate. But this wouldn't at all surprise me. So WikiLeaks saying this pretty much discredits the entire Russian investigation, at least if they can't find anything. So honestly, and as far as the WikiLeaks thing goes, I don't know what more needs to be said. I mean, there's that common debate whether or not they should have said anything at all. They should have kept all the emails from John Podesta to themselves and not given the public access to it. However, I think it's just was too damn important. There we go. I think everyone's... I could be wrong, though. But, yeah, moving on. Apologize. For some reason, I'm like, oh yeah, I have a microphone.
Order, please. Good afternoon and welcome colleagues, invited guests, members of the general public who are following today's proceedings of the Standing Senate Committee on Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
Yeah, dude, he's been undercover this entire
Today
time.
we are continuing our consideration of Bill C-16, an act to amend the Canadian Human Rights Act and the Criminal Code. And with us today for the first hour are Gad Saad, Professor and Chair in Evolutionary Behavioral Sciences and Darwinian Consumption at Concordia University, and Taryn Meyer. Ms. Meyer, thank you both for being with us today. And Professor, I believe you're going to lead off. The floor is yours.
All right, to give you a bit of an introduction, Gad Saad, I believe, has done some streams with like Sargon and a few other people, so he is a like-minded individual as far as I'm concerned. And he got to go to an official meeting, so let's see what he has to say.
Sir. Hope you are aware of that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I've spent 20 plus years working at the nexus of evolutionary psychology and the behavioral sciences, a central feature of which is to explore how evolutionary and biological principles shape our human nature. At the root of this grand objective is the profoundly obvious reality that humans are a sexually reproducing, sexually dimorphic species consisting of reproductively viable males and females. This in no way rejects the equally obvious fact that the rich human tapestry includes other personhoods, such as intersexed and transgendered individuals. Following a 2014 lecture that I delivered at Wellesley College on the thought police, I had a conversation with a student who argued passionately that professors should poll their students at the start of class about their gender identities. While most might have construed her position as outlandish back then, some now consider it too tame. Take the Office of BGLTQ Student Life at Harvard University, who recently distributed a flyer to combat transphobia, wherein it was stated that one's gender identity and gender expression could change daily, and that, quote, fixed binaries and biological essentialism constitute transphobic misinformation that is tantamount to systemic violence. Was the Wellesley student transphobic since she did not potentially consider the daily fluidity of one's gender identity? What about minute-to-minute changes? Should professors poll their students every 10th minute of every lecture to find out if their gender identities have changed since last asked? Should academics no longer design surveys wherein a participant's biological sex is measured as a binary variable? Would this be transphobic systemic violence since it perpetuates fixed binaries and biological essentialism? Facebook and New York City allow 50 plus
That's
and
right.
31 genders respectively as part of one's profile. Should professors develop surveys that recognize all of these genders? Would it be systemically violent to not do so? Should evolutionists no longer explain how sexual selection works, namely the fundamental process by which sex differences evolve? This mechanism recognizes two sexes, and hence it might, quote, disenfranchise those who reject fixed binaries and biological essentialism. Bottom line, foundational tenets of evolution might be construed as might be construed as legal transgressions under Bill C-16. So evolution itself might be a transgression. Ongoing governmental efforts are pushing for a gender-neutral society to cater to an extraordinarily small number of non-binary or non-gendered people who feel marginalized at having to provide their biological sex as part of their profiles. This is the tyranny of the minority. 99% of the population should acquiesce to having a default feature of their personhood erased because a few individuals might be inconvenienced by it. The slippery slope of totalitarian lunacy awaits us. Some are now proposing that racial categories constitute, quote, biological essentialism, and instead we should respect racial self-identities. This is known as transracialism, as per Rachel Dolezal, who was born white but who self-identifies as black. How long before the government tables legislation to combat bigotry against the transracial? What about fat phobia? There are many more Canadians who are overweight than transgendered, and the collective abuse that they experience is sizable. Should the government legislate such hate? The road to hell is indeed paved with good intentions. As someone who escaped religious persecution in Lebanon and whose parents were kidnapped in Beirut, I fully support the protection of all individuals from institutional discrimination. That said, I am weary of the ethos of victimhood that has parasitized our culture. The operative motto is not, I think, therefore I am, but I am a victim, therefore I am. I refer to this condition as collective Munchausen, namely the pathological quest for sympathy and empathy by proclaiming victim status using identity politics and intersectionality. People have the right to live as equal citizens under the law. They do not have the right to demand that their identities be coddled and celebrated, lest they might otherwise get offended. Thank you.
Collective Munchausens. It's probably a term he made up, but Munchausens is a disease where you essentially, I believe it's, you either pretend, hold on, I'm going to look this up real quick. It's either that you pretend that you are sick in order to get sympathy, or it's that you mimic all of the symptoms of people around you in order to, all right, let's see, Munchausen. There we go. Munchausen syndrome. A psychiatric disorder wherein those affected feign disease, illness, or psychological trauma to draw attention, sympathy, or reassurance to themselves. So I had it right with the first one. Woohoo, education. So yeah, collective Munchausens is essentially what he called this race for the oppression Olympics. Yeah, it's more or less of a collective faking of being sick in order to get more sympathy from people, is what more or less what that phrase means. All right, so moving on. I don't know, are you guys familiar with Noam Chomsky? Noam Chomsky is the godfather of cultural anthropology, from what I remember from going to school. He essentially created one of the main theories regarding linguistics, as far as whether or not it's a learned activity or something that is innate. Essentially his groundbreaking work insists that linguistics is innate, but besides his work in anthropology, Noam Chomsky is a known socialist, and, well, this clip came out. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Can't see if I switched over yet. No, I did not.
The Republican Party, the most dangerous organization on earth.
In human history. There has never, it's an outrageous statement, and when I said it, I said, look, this is a very outrageous statement, but is it true?
No, it's not. It's pretty far from the fucking truth, you maniac.
But you're rating them worse than the Kim Jong-un of North Korea or ISIS, who are very...
Is ISIS dedicated to trying to destroy the prospects for organized human existence?
Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
It's that bad, the Republican.
Well, it's that bad. To say, not only we're not doing anything about climate change...
Giddy, I'm going to have to watch that.
Accelerate the race to the precipice.
And you don't entertain the possibility that they may be genuine in their belief that this is...
Are they the American Nazi Party now, though?
No matter whether they genuinely believe it or not. But if the consequence of that is let's use more fossil fuels, let's refuse to subsidize developing countries, if that's the consequence, that's extremely dangerous.
More fear-mongering. Hold up. There's another wise soul out there that told us something about the Republican Party. Let me find this real quick, because after you see this, you'll be like, oh, I absolutely agree. If Billy Joe says it, then it has to be true.
Figure out what the hell is going on. I think a lot of people have been manipulated. I think
by whom though?
I think Trump, when he came out with his campaign, he came out as the anti-Obama. It has fascist overtones, if not straight up fascism. And I think he blames he blames Mexicans and he blames Muslims. He wasn't called out on all of his faults and his problems. And
what are you talking about?
Kind of treated this whole thing like it's a reality TV show, because that's the kind of person he is.
No, they sucked Hillary Clinton's dick for like a year straight. They did what they've been continuing to do with Donald Trump, which has only garnered him more fucking support from people like me, because I hate the media. I hate the news more than I could ever hate any politician. So when the media hates somebody, guess what? That makes them a tandem ally. Anyway,
that's the kind of
let's wait for the award-winning statement. It gets better, folks.
He wanted to run. I think people kind of got caught up in the game show aspect of the most serious job that someone could have on the planet.
I mean, one of your most successful tracks, American Idiot, speaks about alienation. I mean, do you get that this is also about alienation? Do you accept that this is about people who feel desperate for change?
Yeah, I pounded like
I feel like the Republican Party has turned into a white nationalist party.
Boom, there it is.
I feel like the Republican Party has turned into a white nationalist party.
He even says it like a question because he knows it's the most retarded fucking thing he's ever thought in his goddamn life. You know, Basket Case, or I'll say the whole CD of Dookie is a great album. I love that thing front to fucking back. But you, sir, are a fucking idiot if you truly believe that. If you just accepted a check from somebody to say that, I respect that, whatever. That's what you do. You accept checks and dance like a monkey. But, seriously, Billy Joe Armstrong, you are a fucking idiot. And look at this guy. You could tell he's thinking the same thing, like that is the dumbest fucking thing I have ever heard in my life. It is virtue signaling. I don't understand why they... Hey, what's up, Kylan? I don't understand why they would trot out Green Day. It's because they've already gotten every other actor. They've already scrounged at the bottom of the bucket, and they're like, well, what the fuck else is down here? Well, Green Day's still wearing eyeliner at age 50. Maybe we could trot them out, and they can say the same thing we've been telling everybody. But no, apparently this wasn't enough to stop Donald Trump.
On Tuesday, November 8th, this country will make one of the most important
decisions in its history. You have a chance.
You have an obligation
to be a part of that decision.
You might think it's not important. You might think you're not important.
But that's not true.
And the only way we can prove that to you is...
I just wanted to remind you guys of this whole thing. I actually saw a really good response video, and we'll check out...
By having lots of famous people.
Lots of famous people. That's what you dumb motherfuckers understand, is when we get James Franco, okay? We got James fucking Franco. Does your stupid ass realize it now? We got... who, like Bob Odenkirk or something, or like Key and Peele or one of the Peels. We got one of those guys. Don't you stupid fucking sheep understand that Trump is gonna run the world? That's how this video comes off to me. I wasn't talking to you guys like that, but you guys know what I'm fucking talking about. These guys can suck my dick, lick my balls, and tongue my asshole all at the same time. But I guess I have loosened up a little bit. Seriously, fuck these celebrities. Like, that's That's the reason I'm doing this whole channel, is because I hate you fuckers, not you guys. I hate these elites so much. I take pleasure in this. Spanking them like a little child.
Election day is Tuesday, November 8th. I know this because some famous actors told me.
Thanks, famous actors.
Thanks, famous actors.
Thanks, famous actors.
I had no idea.
No idea.
I was just thinking sometime in December, maybe January.
Wait, it's this year?
I thought it was over.
It turns out this election is important.
Really important.
Slurp my
really
blood.
Important.
Really, really important.
Now hand me my monocle, motherfucker.
I thought it was, no big deal.
Again, thanks, famous actors, because it's times like these when we realize just how lucky we are to have
famous Hollywood actors.
To guide us.
To guide us.
They know stuff we just don't know. Stuff we can't know.
Because we're not famous actors. And they're not just acting smart.
They are smarter.
They are smarter.
And thank goodness they made it clear that we must vote for Hillary.
I could have made a terrible mistake without their help.
I thought Clinton deleting all those emails was
dishonest and corrupt.
And put our national security at risk.
But now we know it was all just an accident.
Just an accident.
It was just an accident.
An accident that could happen to any of us. I mean, who among us
couldn't accidentally hit the delete button 30,000 times?
30,000 times?
30,000 times.
I'm actually quite embarrassed. I was going to vote for Trump before checking with,
Scarlett and
Robert or
that little dude who was in something.
I mean, I almost voted for Donald Trump just because he knows how to turn things around.
Wants to secure our borders, protect our religious freedoms.
Wipe ISIS off the face of the earth.
Off the face of the earth.
Let American companies compete on an even playing field.
And let us keep more of our hard-earned money.
But now I know thinking that way was just plain...
It was just plain...
deplorable.
Deplorable.
Let's be honest.
When a bunch of famous actors take time out of their busy day
to have their driver take them to the studio so they can look right into the camera
and share their collective wisdom and insights, well...
You just have to pay attention.
I just wish they would offer their advice more often.
Like...
where to invest my money.
How to raise my kids.
Whether I should take that job
I'll
in
drink
Cincinnati.
to that.
What that lump is on my elbow.
Well, they certainly were right about one thing. Your vote really does matter.
Really does matter.
Your vote does matter.
So on November 8th, please join us in sending a loud and clear message
to each and every one of those Hollywood Einsteins.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
For nothing.
For nothing.
For nothing.
Thanks. For nothing.
Fucking A, right? Thanks for nothing, Robert Downey Jr. I just love the part where they said, I would have loved this advice when I was filing my taxes or trying to learn where to invest my money. But thank God you were there to let me know that Hillary Clinton should be the next president of the United States. Let's give it a hand for the already overpaid and overrated Robert Downey Jr. Not that he isn't talented, but he is certainly overpaid and overrated. Although he is really, I do think he's a really good actor. I just think we appreciate top tier actors way too much. He's not even, let's be fair. He came out and did Sherlock Holmes. Everyone was like, damn, that's a good Sherlock Holmes, man. And then the BBC Sherlock Holmes came out with Benedict Cumberbatch, and now no one even fucking remembers those Sherlock movies. Anyway, let me find that. You know what? I can probably just find it using my YouTube foo. Chomsky.
Since you come down clearly on the side of the United States and the coalition partners in this war, with particular praise for Tony Blair, and noting that there's been real opposition to the war of a kind in Britain.
Yes.
And in other parts of Europe as well as in Asia. Why is it you think some of your friends are engaged in this sort of literary debate with you about your support of the war?
Well, I really think it is because some people can't see a new situation when it hits them. Frankly, think that if I read, as I did, the work of, say, Professor Chomsky, whose work in the past I've much admired, what he was basically saying is, oh, well, this is nothing new. It reminds me of another atrocity that the United States once committed in another country.
Sudan.
Yeah, in Sudan, in his case. Right. I thought, that's extraordinary. I thought the comparison was wrong morally. Yeah. But I also thought it was very lazy intellectually. It was as if to say...
It's almost like you've been there, monsters and dog. I say that because I've lived my whole life in that area. And yeah, there's a lot of meth families, a lot.
I already have my worldview, thanks all the same. Please don't disturb it. I was fine the way I was. I'm just... Yeah. Let me assimilate this to that, and then we'll move on. And I can go on saying what I was going to say in the first place. I find that boring. And...
no, seriously?
Mediocre, because there's no doubt.
Northern California is gorgeous. I mean, you want to find yourself in the right town where there isn't a bunch of tweakers, but if, like I did, and I won't be specific because I don't want to dox myself too bad, but you find yourself in a nice neighborhood where there's just no druggies, there's no meth labs, there's just people who grow pot, and I have no problem with that literally at all. Cool, I'm glad. I always wondered what my accent sounds like to somebody else. I know I probably talk mildly ghetto, kind of like new slang, because I work with a lot of people who are... There's nothing wrong with a little meth on a cold evening. I don't think... The only reason I have a... SoCo? No. But, no, yeah, Northern California is gorgeous. I really hope we secede from California like we're planning to with the state of Jefferson. That's something we can talk about, or maybe I could do a video about at one point, because I really want to see the state of Jefferson become a thing. Southern California has always strong-armed Northern California, despite that Northern California has a lot of the resources that get sucked down, and we could run ourselves. We don't need those smug Hollywood assholes tell us what to do. And you'd be surprised at how many people in this area feel exactly the same way.
This is a new situation. It's
no about this is a just war.
There's a civil war in the Muslim world, an assault on Muslim civilization.
I never lived in the Bay.
Right. The extreme right take the war to the West to try and win their war in the Muslim.
Right, exactly.
That's a new situation. That's really challenging. But Chomsky just shrug it off as contemptible. Then there's a better...
Because they're victims.
There's a better justification, which is some people are so upset by what they know about what American foreign policy has done in the past, in Palestine, for example, in Chile, in Guatemala, and so on, that they sort of can't believe the United States can ever be morally in the right. They're queasy. They don't want to be on the winning side with the Pentagon and the CIA.
This is because the United States has been, in your judgment, I mean, and this is part of your own...
Yeah, to respond to you, Monster, I agree. The thing is looking at what I have looked at, people have voted on it at like 80% for it. Most people want the state of Jefferson. But it is strange how most people don't really know about it unless they already know about it. And but you explain it to most people, like, yeah, that sounds pretty fair. And we're going to vote on it in, I believe, a year and a half, whether or not we will... we vote for it, and then it goes through as a statewide thing, I believe.
Said attacking American foreign policy because the United States has associated itself with dictators in areas around the world who have repressed their own people.
More than associated with them, has imposed them, invented them, has imposed them on free peoples. Yes,
and therefore set down legitimate nationalism.
Oh, I mean,
in the name of anti-communism or whatever.
Yeah, you could fill in anything under that heading that one might expect, and I would probably have phrased it more strongly. Yes, definitely, but that's this is an attack on American civilization, on civil society.
On civilization, period.
Yes, on civilization.
Because period. I mean, some 80 nations represented in those.
But since you mentioned American foreign policy, this is an attack on the bits of American civilization that are worth defending.
Yeah, probably.
That have taken a long time to evolve, that can't be abandoned. free inquiry, separation of church and state, multi-ethnicity, all these things. It's a very deliberate assault of that kind. So you can't temporize about it. And that's why I liked what Blair did, particularly because, quite a lot of my fellow Englishmen were killed in that explosion. I'm not quite sure what the numbers now are, but it was a lot. Blair didn't appeal, Blair didn't appeal to that at all when he spoke at the Labour Party conference. He didn't say, by the way, a lot of Brits were killed too, so we should be interested. He didn't make any sectarian appeal. He didn't ask for it in national form.
No,
he just simply said,
he didn't say this is
our solidarity. It's solidarity.
Yeah,
he did
not say this was
international solidarity, and both those words still mean quite a lot to me. I'm not a member of the faction of the Labour Party that particularly admires Tony Blair, but
epic.
On this, I thought he was dead right.
I really miss Hitchens quite a bit. And Colbert is just the fucking worst. Well, Trump signed an executive order today. Switch this over so you can see it. This is on Politico, so this is what the uber left is saying. Trump signs executive order creating voter fraud commission. President Trump signed an executive order on Thursday creating a commission to examine voter fraud and voter suppression after repeatedly claiming without evidence that fraudulent voting constitutes a major and ongoing problem in the United States. We know this is a real thing because of Project Veritas. Yeah, at least when he was pretending to be a conservative, he was funny. I felt like he said one or two mildly amusing things. I'll give him that. Cut Colbert is just not funny. He just says the same shit you hear on Reddit. I don't know. I just find him kind of abysmal. But yes, we do know voter fraud is a thing. We're talking about people with being registered in multiple states. There are millions of people. Literally, I think it's 3 to 4 million people that were registered in 2 states, which means that they voted twice. Then there's also Democrats, people who were representatives of the DNC, admitting on camera, with James O'Keefe behind the camera, on Project Veritas, that they bust people in all the time. So we do know it's a real thing. And that's not even factoring in illegals, right? Let's see if let's back my shit up, right?
Yeah, if you had a freaking pint of butyric acid, I don't care how big the building is.
Okay, this isn't the right one. Hold up.
James, you're doing God's work. Project Veritas is about we the people and what
Ted
you're
Nugent?
doing, exposing the corruption, the power.
Is that
James?
That's Ted Nugent, I think.
James, you're doing God's work.
Trying to find, maybe it's this one.
I think there's a lot of voter fraud. Right. Like I say, people don't realize certain neighborhoods in particular, they bust people around to vote.
They do what?
They bust them around. They put them in a bus and they move from the poll site to poll site.
Like what kind of neighborhoods?
Oh, I don't want to say.
We all know what that means. Black and Hispanic.
Oh, like minority neighborhoods, like black neighborhoods and Hispanic neighborhoods?
And Chinese too.
Oh. Why do they do that? Just to get like more votes for Democrats, or?
More votes themselves. They're all running for office.
Oh yeah, for like their candidates for when they're.
For the assembly, for whatever. They get buses and they move people around.
But New York doesn't have voter ID laws, right? New York?
No, you can't. You cannot ask.
They what?
They can't ask for a voter ID.
Why is that? They can't?
The law. The law says you can't ask somebody. Which they really should be able to do. You know, I don't think it's too much to ask somebody to show some kind of an ID.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, you have to show an ID for everything else.
Right. You go into a building, you got to show them your ID.
Well, you're the commissioner, you said, of the Democratic election commissioner. So if you think there's voter fraud and you think there should be voter ID, why don't people listen to you? I mean...
Well, that's because the New York State legislature makes the laws. I don't make the laws.
And you think there's a lot of absentee ballot fraud, too?
Oh, there's thousands of absentee ballots. I know where they came from.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, Hillary Clinton doesn't support voter ID laws. Like,
I know. That's why I'm not always crazy about everything the Democrats do either. Blasio just gave out ID cards.
He what?
He gave out ID cards to Blasio. You don't have, you know, that's in lieu of a driver's license, that you can use it for anything. Well, they didn't vet the people to see who they really are. Anybody could go in there and say, I'm Joe Smith, I want an ID card. It's absurd. You're going to see a lot of fraud. Not just voter fraud, all kinds of fraud.
What a waste of taxpayer money.
That's why I'm getting more conservative as I get older.
Well, maybe you won't vote for Hillary.
I'll drink to that, sir. I am getting more conservative as I get older as well.
I don't know.
I would, but I have no choice.
Well, not only just like voter ID because of like voting twice, but like people can like cover their faces. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, the Muslims could do that too. You know who they are.
De Blasio wants to let them in New York.
He doesn't care. What does he care? Who's going to pay for it? You are. Your tax money.
The Muslims, yeah, especially like all those burqas. Like someone could claim, oh, it's my religion, but then you don't know if they're pretending or not.
Exactly. Your vote isn't really counting because they can go in there with a burqa on and you don't know if they're a voter.
You don't what?
Yes. Your vote gets discounted because they come in with a burqa on it and they can vote. People think, you know, it's a liberal thing to do, but I take my vote seriously. And I don't want 10 other people coming in negating my vote by voting for the other candidate when they're not even registered voters.
Are you sure you're a Democrat?
Sometimes not.
Are you sure you're a Democrat?
I'm only telling you this.
That's where you're wrong, kiddo. But the other thing I wanted to check out is Amy Horowitz, and you might remember him from he was going on about the Swedish attacks and all of that. He went on Fox News and kind of brought light to it. And here's an interesting bit I saw. It's not a bit, it's a...
I'm Amy Horowitz, and I'm here in Berkeley, California to find out if voter ID laws suppress the black vote.
And the reason he's doing this is because it is a common argument that having IDs in order to vote is racist. It keeps black people from being able to vote.
Do you have an opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad. I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Would you go as far as say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data.
For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not informed. I also think there's a repression of
Just keep in mind how racist everything these people are saying it's something I believe George Bush coined the term, George W. Bush. It's the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Black voting with how if you're a convicted felon, like you're not allowed to vote and everything. And when you look at swing states like Florida, that's a huge population of the like African Americans.
Now I'm here in East Harlem to ask black people their thoughts on what you just heard. Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID?
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so like, we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. Like, that's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with, ID.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy camera?
I know, right?
That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those are legit IDs. I heard a lot also that black people can't figure out how to get to the DMV.
Really?
What does that say to you?
I know it's on 25th Street.
Do you know where the DMV is around you?
It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Yeah.
Would you have a problem getting there if you had to get there?
No.
I know these sound like silly questions. You know how to get to the DMV?
Of course.
You know where it is?
Yes.
You can get there?
Uh-huh.
No problem.
No problem.
Just checking.
Okay.
And I also heard a lot that black people, especially poor black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's just stupidity, honestly. Everybody has access to the internet.
Hey,
even a little kid can
the
figure out how to work the internet.
I had access to the
subscription.
internet.
I can't read your name right now.
Properly, right?
Exactly. I do it at work. So of course I know how to use it. My kids know how to use it. They all have iPads, iPods, whatever.
Your phone has data?
Mm-hmm.
You can actually
unlimited.
Unlimited data.
Mm-hmm. I use my phone as a hotspot.
What does that say to you for the people who have this perception of black people?
They're pretty much ignorant. That's what my thought process was.
I just think that's ignorant.
Ignorant.
Ignorant. That's the word I'm hearing a lot.
Ignorant.
Ignorant.
Very, very ignorant.
Does it sound racist for somebody to say that?
Yeah.
I think it is a little racist because, you're putting people in a category and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe a little bit of racist in it, but like I said, I think it's more stupidity and ignorance.
You're judging somebody, but you're judging them because they black, saying that they don't got it.
What people are they talking to? Who are these people talking to?
Do you have a problem that if you go to vote and they say, "Can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are"? Are you cool?
Love showing my ID.
You got no problem with that?
I love it.
Do you have a problem if when you go to vote, if they say, "Can we please just see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are"?
ID
Would you have a problem if there was a rule where you had to show your ID in order to vote?
Fuck.
If they say, "Can we please just see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are"? Do you have an issue with that?
No.
Would you have a problem if there was a rule where you had to show your ID in order to vote?
I don't think so. No.
Would you have an issue if there was a rule saying you got to show your ID before you vote?
Nah.
You cool with that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. So yeah, Amy Horowitz, and I think it's obvious. We all know that everyone has to have a fucking ID if you live in this day and age. Even if you don't have a job and you're just 18 and you don't have a driver's license, you still got to go get a fucking ID. But they died gloriously, my friend. But we're all people. We all fucking know this. But the people that need the leverage need to race bait in order to get ahead in the election. Those are the people who are the real racists. The ones that are going, black people can't afford IDs. Oh, man, they're just people too. They can afford fucking ID. I mean, hell, there's a lot of white trash out there, and they're pretty much the same thing as, just saying. That's true, yeah. No, I think you're allowed to, it's one of those things that you'll just be more inconvenienced, because the police will have to run your name. They have to find out who you are. It's just a coincidence, man. It's just a coincidence. So this is an interesting thing, right? So I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but I'm sure you're familiar with Lacey Green, and recently she's been reaching out to a lot of anti-SJW YouTubers and things. She was on a podcast, or she did a debate, I guess, with Blair White. I didn't watch that, but judging from her most recent upload, I can imagine how that went. And she even hung out with Jeff Holiday, which when I saw Lacey Green and Jeff Holiday hanging out, I'm like, okay, she's tumbling down the rabbit hole, my friends. But I hate to say this because she's fun to laugh at, fun to joke about. But yeah, we're not gonna watch it because I already have watched it. I'm not really interested in revisiting what she has to say. But I'm just taking a drink in the name of Lacey Green, and here's why. Yes, lovely cow tits. Cow tits. She is making an attempt. Is that the proper gender identity, Lacey? She's making an attempt to unify people, right? To bring, and even if she doesn't realize it, I kind of commend this. And maybe, here's the thing. There's a part of me that's saying, this is just her trying to get more viewers. Like, you can look at her channel, and I'll transition over. We're not going to watch it, right? But as you can see here, she's consistently losing 606. That's interesting. The Latin number of the beast. On Social Blaze, she's been losing people consistently on her channel. Now, just after today, she gained a bunch of subs. People are real happy with her. So I'm sure this is going to shape how she does her content in the future. But this is a video that reaches across the aisle, talks about the toxic nature of feminism and social justice. And while she doesn't completely turn her back on it, I like the fact that she's saying, hey, wait a minute. There's more than just having two sides. Sometimes there is a point in between that you can come to. Only if the taxpayers are paying for it, man. Cows gotta go. Yeah, and you're probably right, but I'm gonna pour a shot, and this is for this isn't for Lacey Green. This is for Blair White for putting up with Lacey Green for God knows how long in order to be like, nah, man, check it out. We're not all a bunch of racists. We just have a different perspective. So I kind of. And I have to admit that the video of hers was cute. Like, the end of her video is, as for that red pill, and she's, like, looking at it, and then the video ends. Like, yeah, that was adorable. I still... man, you know, I never really hated her, because especially, you know, she mentioned she was Mormon, so I'm like, oh, there's where that's where that interest in sex comes from. But I always kind of saw her as a person that, and maybe it's just because I thought she's kind of cute. I'll be honest with you. But I always saw potential. A person that I'm like, this person doesn't seem so full of shit. This just seems like a person that has been eating up a bunch of liberal garbage. She got white deed. That's kind of why I find her hella fucking sexy. No, like, even in the video, I'm just like, Lacey kind of looks cute with the short hair and the huge tits. Lost a few pounds. I mean, I don't want to sound like a total pig, but... And she isn't totally fucking retarded anymore. I kind of appreciate that. So, like I said, I wasn't planning on watching it, but I wanted to bring it up as a way of saying, you know what? This is what we need more of. We need more people trying to reach across the aisle. Oh, man. Can I find that Steve Shives? Hold up. Steve Shives is super pissed. I'm blocked by Steve Shives, so the only way I can... Oh, man. So the only way I can view them is by going into incognito mode. Oh, he replies to every Donald Trump tweet. That's so cute. A friend of mine just reminded me that you might have not have learned anything from Nixon's example because you weren't paying attention to Watergate, seeing as you were being sued by the federal government for housing discrimination at the time. My apologies. I love it. At the rate you're going, you'll be lucky to make it to an all-star break. God, this guy's such a... He has a dick perpetually shoved up his ass. Oh my fucking god. He's claiming that John Cena's racist? There's no fucking way. He's so good. There's no way this guy is real. Of course it's not. Would John Cena throw up a hate sign when he's posing for his adoring fans? I think not, my friend. And the only comment, because he has everyone blocked, the only comment says, "You don't know what the hell you're talking about." Here, I need to fix OBS so you guys can see this. It's so good. This guy is such a fucking fag. And I don't mean, when I say this guy's a fucking fag, I'm not saying he's gay. I'm saying he's an effeminate little bitch. Because you can be gay and not be a fag. You can be a gay fag, but that's not being a fag. Being a fag has nothing to do with you being gay. Being a fag has to do with being... It's sort of a synonym for cuck, actually. This is so good. Like, how does he wake up in the morning and go, like, this is who I am. This is me. I know, man. It's John Cena. He's the millennials version of Hulk Hogan. Do you think he's throwing up fucking hate signs? Are you goddamn kidding me, Steve Shives? There is no way. You have to be a performance artist. Steve Shives has to be a character that you're playing. There's no way that's your genuine personality. No fucking way. I'd bet money on it. That's how unsure of it I am. Pretty much, though. Since I have this up, I'm going to try to find when he tweeted at Cow Tits. Because, this guy is such a... Okay, so, I don't want to make friends with anti-feminists. Far more productive to befriend someone at YouTube who could delete all of their channels. Fuck. And that was what Lacey Green originally responded to. No one needs to be friends with anyone else, okay? But it's pretty alarming to frame political censorship and thought policing as productive. I'm not advocating for political censorship. I'm advocating for not wasting time making nice with abusive, dishonest, opportunistic people. And then Lacey responds, abuse is one thing, but banning channels you would disagree with is political censorship. A level of civility is necessary to understand each other. And then he says, it's upsetting to hear... Hold on, I need to... It's upsetting to hear you repeating the same, you want to silence my agreement bit I hear from the likes of Carl Benjamin or TJ Kirk. Hold on, I need to make sure my woman doesn't need a hot rag while she's fucking Jamal. And I mean genuinely upsetting. I'm not talking about banning people because they disagree with me on something. I'm talking about banning people who use the platform to promote bigotry and intolerance and perpetuate white supremacy and rape culture. Could this guy have any less of his fucking balls intact? Like, what's this guy's T count? 0? Negative 5,000? Fuck's sake, man. Like, just what I think, because I feel the same way about Steve Shives. He does a good job on his videos. Every time I go to make fun of him, I'm like, hey, you know what? Production value on these are pretty good. And then he just goes on there with a smug little fucking frown and talks about how much he hates Donald Trump. But here's the funny thing I wanted to get to, is you'll notice how many more likes Lacey Green has than him. It's not just a few either. Like... 2,000, he gets 35 for coming back. I'm not advocating for political censorship. I'm trying to sound like a stuck-up little bitch, but I can't quite nail it as much as Steve Shives does. Holy fucking hell. Anyway, I've been babysitting this drink for a minute, so give me a second. The booty warrior. Is the booty warrior like a black Captain Stabbin'? The only thing he nails... I don't know how that joke was going to work out, but somebody comes and fucks his wife. That's all. That's what the joke was. You're probably right, though. The 35 people liking his tweet are probably the only ones he hasn't blocked. I'm drinking Absolute vodka. I've got like 2 shots left. Yeah, I'm a vodka guy. Always kind of have been. I used to drink Hot Damn. A master prison buttfucker. Sure. This is evidence of the Russian hacking. I drink only rubbing alcohol. Hey guys. We're in Conspiracy Corner, but I don't have a conspiracy. But here's... Oh no, I do have a conspiracy. Never mind. I take that back. I forgot I shit something out. If you look up Steve Shives on Twitter, Lacey's followers are making memes about him. That's so good. That's so good. Even her followers are making fun of his ass now. So this isn't part of the Conspiracy Corner. I do have a part. It's Max Spires. We're going to talk about trauma-based mind control. But first... I have to give you a little bit of an explanation. So Danzig is one of my favorite bands of all time. The first 4 Danzig albums, and I like the Misfits, the Salmon, quite a bit, but the first 4 Danzig albums, specifically the first 3, but 4 is really good too, are some of the best metal albums of all time. I am a huge fan of Danzig. I fucking love Danzig. It was my favorite thing when I was growing up. So here's Alex Jones quoting Danzig songs. It's just fucking great.
Have a little twist of cane. And we all know if you start letting that little twist of cane into your heart, well, then it'll split you down the middle and you'll come alive. And pretty soon, there'll be blood pouring out of people's heads like a crimson highway. To quote Danzig.
He keeps looking at the camera. You got it? You got it yet? Like from the first album of Danzig? And that's not even the first time he's done this either.
Happen. And that's what they hate is us saying it's 1776. We're not doing it. Don't cross this line. Do you want to take a life? Do you want to cross that line? Because it's a long way back from hell. And by taking a life, you want to take the life of our republic. You want to kill the spirit of our country. Because that's what they're trying to do is kill.
Alex Jones is so fucking great. Like, I don't love him as an actual news reporter, but holy fuck, this personality of a human being is so... I really hope it's Bill Hicks. I think it is. When I see him go off like that, I'm like, that's something Bill Hicks would have done. You son of a bitch.
Tell your children not to walk my way.
Tell your children not to hear my words, what they mean, what they say.
Mother, can you keep them in the dark for life? Can you hide them from the waiting world? Oh, I think their Skype just broke up, so they're gone. Gonna take your daughter out tonight. Gonna show her my world. Yeah, father! Do you want to ram heads with me, baby?
I officially love... It's so good. I officially love Alex Jones after that. That was the moment for me where I'm like, okay, well, say what you want about Alex Jones. He rocks the Danzig, and that means he will always be good by me. So, yeah, I don't know how to start this off, so let's just... we're not going to watch all 60 minutes, all right? But I got to go rock a piss, and I'll leave this on for a minute.
Welcome. Good luck.
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I have never done a presentation this way, so this has been the biggest audience really I've spoken to about such personal things, but I feel it needs to be addressed now because it's coming to a climax. This 2016 year, everything is sort of climaxing now, and it needs to be addressed imminently. It needs to be addressed immediately. The build-up over the last 6 months coming to Poland has been tumultuous, to say the least. I have been under psychic attack, under astral attack, and under physical attack to stop me from coming to Warsaw to be able to convey this information to you. I think what it is and what the specifically why the attacks have been over these last 2 to 3 months is because of not the technical things that I'm going to address, not because of those technical things, it's because I'm going to lay out what the war is about and why it's going on. And if the people understand and know why it's going on and what it's about, then that gives the ability of the people to be able to stop it from happening. Okay, so just to give a very brief outline of who I am and why I'm here, and why I'm standing here in front of you in the first place, so you understand.
Just so a little heads up, Max Spires died last year, I believe, in sometime in July, maybe. And basically, he threw up some black goo, and no one could figure out what the hell it was. And eventually, he died. But about, what was it, a month, maybe 2 weeks previous to him dying, he sent a text to his mother saying, "If I die, don't believe what happened. Something is going on." Just keep that in mind.
I'm just not Bob off the street. Essentially, I was born into a specific bloodline, and I was targeted as an individual. Okay, so I was targeted as an individual from birth. The trauma begins with me. The trauma began whilst in the womb of the mother. So, so whilst the fetus is inside the woman, if the mother is then traumatized, then that in turn traumatizes the child immediately. Okay, so as I said, trauma began in the womb of the trauma begins in the womb of the mother, and then
wrap it up, dude, because you're gonna fucking bore the shit out of me, dog.
The child is then taken.
I say dog ironically, sort of like how Destiny says it. Once I started hearing Destiny call people dog, and that was one of those things where I'm like, when I fucking hate you, I might say, "Hey, dog, you need to fucking hand me that thing before I lop it upside your head."
taken away from the mother immediately, and then there are a number of different ways to traumatize, to split the mind of the child so that it creates alters maybe like a honeycomb, a beehive honeycomb. The information about how
All right,
to
all right. I gave it a shot. I gave it a shot. This guy is not the most articulate or charismatic conspiracy theorist out there. I can't even think of something to watch for Conspiracy Corner, man. Normally there's like, hey, let's watch out some UFOs. How about the Black Guardian? Are you guys familiar with the Black Guardian? That's weird. The Black Knight Satellite, that's what it's called.
On December 25th, 1952, famous mathematician Lancelot Hogben called upon the scientific community to send radio signals deep into the solar system. Hogben said he had no desire to visit Mars, but it might be a good idea to have a few chats with the Martians before sending rockets across space for a possible unfriendly reception. Hogben planned to send a simple code through a series of radio messages in the hope that extraterrestrials would receive and decode them, and then send some kind of response. Did extraterrestrials receive these signals? And did we get a response which has resulted in one of the biggest cover-ups?
Man, it's already fake by the time I hear about it. That sucks. Well then, I guess we'll check out Zachary K. Hubbard. Hubbard, huh?
Hello, truth seekers, good people of the
Truth seekers. Talks about Bob Marley and Peter Tosh getting killed.
Hello, truth seekers, good people of the world.
Huh.
Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Quick encore performance about the deaths of Peter Tosh and Bob Marley. Today's May 11th, 2017, the 36-year anniversary of the passing of Bob Marley. Him and Peter Tosh, both members of the Wailers who died early. I forgot something important in this video I want to mention, and I also just got this question, which I'm glad I received, because this further validates my work. Just minutes ago, this man said, "Can you please do one on The Golden Child, the film with Eddie Murphy from 1986? We're going to get to that in just a second. It connects right in with what we were talking about, Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. But here's what I forgot. We talked about how Bob Marley equals 93 like Saturn. And Bob Marley passed on May 11th, which is written 5/11 in the U.S. Saturn, the keeper of time. I forgot to mention how Rastafari sums to 93. Bob Marley, 93, dead by the numbers of Saturn, the keeper of time, having to do with death and judgment. And again, we saw Peter Tosh die September 11th. Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, reggae legends. Reggae 119, September 11th, 11/9, the day Peter Tosh passed. So, I was explaining, these numbers are so significant. 93 to time, to death, to rituals. In Black history, there's a lot of 93. Notice Black history
Never heard of that one, man.
gematria of 93. So do names like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, both 93. Those two men only met one time in history on a date with 93 numerology. It was March 26th, 1964, 333 days before Malcolm X would be killed. On a date with 93 numerology, the two men with 93 named gematria met. And a lot of notable black people from history have number 93 stamped right on them. If you missed the video I just put out about Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, it's actually interesting he asked me that after watching this video. But anyway, if you watch that video, I talked about the significance of 93, the Bible, how these biblical numbers coded into black history, connecting to Saturn, this very important entity to the occult that tracks time. Here's a film, The Golden Child, about elites wanting to get rid of a certain child. And remember, 93 has a lot to do with Jesus Christ. But check this out. The film's called The Golden Child. It came out December 12th, 1986. Golden Child equals 93. Like God's Son, like Nazareth, like crucifix. They say the crucifixion of Jesus happened on April 3rd. Science came out with this in 2012. The crucifixion of Jesus was April 3rd, which is the 93rd day of the year. In Mark, it says the crucifixion lasted from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., 9 to 3. Again, 93, the number for Saturn, the keeper of time. They tell us the sun is 93 million miles away. God's Son, 93, like Nazareth, like crucifix, like Golden Child. This film came out on December 12th. 12/12. Saturn, the keeper of time. 12 months, 12 hours in the morning, in the evening. 1,440 minutes per day. The word time in Jewish gematria is 144. And the main character in this film, played by Eddie Murphy, the name is Chandler Jarrell, spelled just as such, 93. Played by a black man. In the Bob Marley Peter Tosh video I just made, I talked about why is there this ongoing riddle throughout history coding the numbers of Jesus Christ onto black people. It's a question people need to ask because it's really going on. And, you know, the more you research, the more you learn. And look at how fast I just learned this. This is just one more piece of the puzzle that I've been talking about since 2013. This man asked me this just minutes ago. That's all it takes, gematria, once you're good with this language. You know, this calculator right here, which I link in the description, just type the words and see. We talk about how 42 stamped on black people all throughout history. Peter Tosh dead at 42. Hit sitcom Martin, black TV show Martin in apartment number 42. You know, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Rosa Parks, and a million more. Murdered by the numbers. Numbers of Saturn, numbers of time. And here's a movie. I mean, it's really about snuffing out people. Notice this film's 94 minutes. I just talked about how Bob Marley died 94 days after his birthday and what they had to do with the Bible, you know. So I'll link this video down below if you missed it. I didn't count on making this. I'm supposed to be writing the book right now, but, you know, I got excited after I got this question. You know how it goes, Truth Seeker. Until next time.
It's true. It's damn true.
Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's May 11th, 2017. Today is the 36-year anniversary of the passing of Bob Marley in Miami at the age of 36.
Ripping my blood.
As a quick tribute, I'm going to show you what's so suspicious about the...
It's been a kind of a slow news week. Otherwise, I would have a little bit more to show you. I do have this. I made this a long time ago. It's pinned to my tweets. We can watch that, I guess.
Call me old-fashioned, but I still believe there's only one true God. And he lives in this lake. and his name is...
All right, and with that, yeah, exactly, Cloud. I was literally thinking the same thing. Figured this is a great place to end it, so thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Midnight Show this week. It's been a slow news week, so it wasn't much to talk about, but I felt an obligation to still stream. Nothing else came out, so thank you everyone. Again, Monster Zendog, OG Glitch, Cloudburr, Ice Official, Loot Junkie, all you guys that come on and make the show worth doing, because if I was doing this to 0 viewers for more than a week or two, I probably would stop, but I keep going because it seems like something you all like, and I appreciate you all enjoying it, so I'll go ahead and end it there. I had to make things difficult for myself. Hold up. Releasing. Alright. And I think this is about where I was. So you all have a good night, and I'll see you next time.
Assoluto cosmico regolare realtà, respiro di un'immagine, sintonia di civiltà, confuso proteinia di cellule